they're killing their website. They're basically going to have all their reporters publish elsewhere. And I had all the DMs that came into my, all the DMs that came into my LinkedIn based on that LinkedIn post were all like, rented land, anybody? It seems like such a dumb move, but am I missing something?
I think it's incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
I think this is stupid with a capital S. But I think you're right. I think this is like a temporary thing that they're just mentioning before they actually like stop producing everything. It's like I said, we're not closing up shop. We're going to do this new strategy that is absolutely not going to work, but we're basically giving ourselves 9 months.
That's
or
right.
12 months or whatever. So it's ridiculous. I think there's a couple things I think are worth talking about, especially for our audience. The one is, can a news content business model survive today?
Yeah.
I think
that's the question.
Because of course we know that, traditional media outlets print, they came from, like, let's say, newspapers and then went on to digital. A lot of those business models haven't worked. We've even talked about on the show about we'd love to see these be content marketing efforts where, like in Cleveland, if you had a progressive take over the publication, cleveland.com or the Plain Dealer, that could be a thing. But I think the other thing that a lot of people aren't talking about here is that, and I think content marketing organizations do this wrong as well, they scaled up way too quickly.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the way that Vice built this, if I recall correctly, they brought in a lot of talent, a lot of high-priced talent, a lot of executive talent. They paid a lot of people a lot of money, especially in the heydays when it was worth $5.7 billion, and didn't do it. If you look at Axios, who we cover all the time, what they're doing, they sort of started small and then went vertical, and they didn't say, oh, we need 100 people in our news team to make this
documentaries on HBO, the whole thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. They basically did it the right way. And they said, okay, we're going to test this out, have 1 or 2 people, and then we're going to grow from there and work, instead of Vice saying, oh, we're going to do the big thing and Vice News and the whole thing. So I think that's where they went wrong. Is I think this model could have worked for Vice, but their expenses are so incredibly high. If you would have started with a smaller expense base.
But you got to figure the website isn't one of those, right? I mean, you just have to, just publishing to yours. Even if literally it's a WordPress site with everybody's articles just joined together, you cannot imagine that the website is a cost item that's going to save them a tremendous amount of money. And it just cuts the head off of the whole thing, right? Yeah, I don't mind the strategy of taking your talent and, it's one of the first things that we advise, right? When we're talking to a content creator or someone who's going to make their business around creating content. Yes, at least my advice to those people is always the first thing you do is build your sphere of influence, whether that's a newsletter, whether that's a website, whether that's a blog, whether, your sphere of what is your center of gravity. And where you want to pull people into and build your audience. Then second step number 2 is because nobody knows you exist. Yes, take your best talent, meaning you probably, but your best talent, and be everywhere else. Be where your audience is, right? Guest blog, be on podcasts, go speak, write a book, be everywhere that's not, but pull those people into your center of gravity. And so I just can't imagine that once you've done that, as Vice did, that it makes any sense to like delete, explode your planet, in other words, your big sphere of influence, your center of gravity, and just let everybody sort of dangle out there in the rest of the universe.